Shelter saves giant Wolfdog. A DNA test shows why it's so big. From being abandoned at a kill shelter to being rescued by a sanctuary, Yuki got a lucky second chance at life, all because of the one thing that made him different than all other pet dogs. Little did anyone know, though, that this special and wondrous creature would soon be the one who saves the day. So, what made Yuki so special in the first place? It all started a little over a decade ago when he was just a pup. Back in the late 2000s, a family was excited to purchase and bring in an adorable little puppy to be their friendly fur baby. They had met with a breeder and felt like he was the perfect dog for them. However, it wouldn't be until they would take him home that they would realize that Yuki, the pup, was so much more than just your everyday pet. Turns out that Yuki is one of the more unique dog breeds out there, which means that his needs and care requirements were going to be just as special. So big, so fast. Unless you're a trained professional, sometimes it can be quite hard to determine just how big your pet might grow up to be, and for Yuki, he turned out to be much bigger than expected. The family obtained the cute little Yuki as a puppy, but they had no idea he would grow up to be so big so fast. It takes dogs about 18 months to grow into their full size, but Yuki was less than a year old and seemed much larger than the average dog already. A change in behavior. While Yuki grew up to be a beautiful and big canine, there were still some other odd qualities that the family started to take note of with their fur baby. Soon enough, Yuki's owners realized that perhaps he wasn't meant to be a domesticated dog after all. His behavior seemed more aggressive and he was getting harder to handle, which led them to think that maybe Yuki wasn't the dog for them after all. Yuki seemed to be such a cute canine, but unfortunately his owners decided that they weren't capable of keeping up with the maintenance he needed. Wolf-like habits. The family who adopted Yuki as a puppy didn't just think he was too much to handle for them once he grew up. The older Yuki got, the more different he seemed to be than other pet dogs that they were familiar with. Yuki definitely displayed some normal canine behavior throughout his upbringing, but over time, he also started to exhibit some unexpected wolf-like habits. And even though wolves are some incredible creatures, they can also be incredibly dangerous and are better off in the wild than being domesticated. So, what exactly were his owners going to do with the big and beautiful wolf-like canine? Suspicions for Yuki's odd behavior. The once adorable fur baby had grown up to be a larger, slightly more aggressive pup, and the owners were torn about what to do. They had suspicions that Yuki was a mixed bred of some sort, but they started to think that maybe it wasn't just a mix of other dogs, but rather another type of canine. And if their suspicions were correct, then that means that Yuki definitely wouldn't be able to live with them at home. It wouldn't be until they took him to a local shelter that their questions would finally be answered. Yuki's backstory. Once Yuki had reached about 8 months old, they decided to take him to a local shelter, and from there, Yuki's fate would forever be changed. Brittany Allen, a senior volunteer at Shy Wolf Sanctuary, told Beastly that someone had obtained Yuki in some way as a puppy, and they realized pretty quickly that he exhibits more wolf-like behavior versus dog-like behavior. He ended up at a shelter, which basically wolf dogs, or any dog that appears to be wolfy, the kind of are put first to be euthanized. Was it true? Was Yuki actually a wolf? And if so, what would the shelter do next? Yuki's DNA results. It turns out that Yuki wasn't just a dog after all. In fact, he was more wolf than dog. His DNA was a mix of 3 different canine types: 3.9% German Shepherd, 8.6% Siberian Husky, and 87.5% Grey Wolf. Talk about a wild combo. Even though his owners seemed to be right about the fact that he didn't belong in their home, Yuki was still a good and happy pup. So if the shelter was meant to put wolf dogs to rest, did that mean Yuki's fate was meant to be the same? Yuki's rescue. Just when Yuki had hit an all-time low of being abandoned at the kill shelter, it turns out that someone had notified the Shy Wolf Sanctuary that Yuki the dog was in need of some help. Little did everyone know that the fact that he was mostly wolf would actually be the reason for his rescue. He became too much for his owner and was dropped off at a high-kill shelter. The shelter called us and gave us a chance to evaluate. Yuki was very obviously a high-content wolf dog, so we were able to pull him and give him a home in our sanctuary. Shy Wolf Sanctuary's director Jeremy Albrecht shared with Insider. Shy Wolf Sanctuary. As sad as it was that Yuki was abandoned and left to be put to rest, it turns out that the very thing that got him kicked out was the same thing that would save him. Shy Wolf Sanctuary is an exotic animal sanctuary. We mainly rescue animals that were bred to be pets and ended up unwanted or abandoned for a multitude of reasons, director Jeremy Albrecht mentioned during an interview with Beastly. Yuki's luck was soon turning around, and he would get another chance at a new forever home. But moving him to the sanctuary was just the first step in his rescue. Step 1. Saving Yuki. It's really exciting when we do get an opportunity to rescue a young animal, Director Jeremy Albrecht further shared with Beastly. Step 1 of saving Yuki was complete, and Yuki was successfully transferred from the shelter to the sanctuary. But just like with any person or animal, transitioning into a new environment always takes a bit of time, patience, and effort. But if they are rescued at a young age, then it's typically a little easier since there are less habits to break or adjustments to adapt to. Upon their evaluation of his DNA, the shelter also checked his health status and how he would be able to cope with everything based on his personality. Off to a good start. Surprisingly enough, upon arrival, Yuki seemed to be in a decent condition compared to other exotic rescue animals the sanctuary had seen. He was in reasonably good health compared to a lot of the animals that come to us and had a very outgoing personality initially. We even considered him for ambassadorship at one point, one of the directors of the Shy Wolf Sanctuary explained to Bored Panda. How exciting. It looked like things were looking up for the gigantic pup. Still though, nobody really could know just how well Yuki would adapt to it all until further inspection. Chicken, pork, and beef. Unfortunately, many people aren't aware about the amount of special care a wolfdog breeds need. Even something as simple as feeding wolf dogs can be extremely dangerous, which is why the rescue sanctuary seemed to be the perfect place for Yuki to transfer to. They pretty much just annihilate food, and you don't want your fingers anywhere near a wolf's mouth when you're feeding it, Brittany Allen explained to Beastly. But even though they needed to be extra careful during the feeding process, that doesn't mean the animals don't get spoiled. The professional animal caretakers of the sanctuary provided Yuki with a healthy raw diet of chicken and pork, and on special occasions spoil him with some beef. Yuki's accident. Yuki seemed to truly fit in and was enjoying himself during the beginning of his stay at the sanctuary. But unfortunately, all of that was about to change. Shortly after arriving at Shy Wolf Sanctuary, Yuki managed to catch a leg on a palmetto and opened up a wound on his right rear knee. The wound ended up taking a total of 5 surgeries to finally repair, and in that time, Yuki became cage aggressive. One of the directors of the Shy Wolf Sanctuary explained to Bored Panda. Was this going to ruin Yuki's opportunity to stay at the sanctuary, doing what's best for the wounded creature? Just like how we as humans can endure some sort of painful trauma during an injury, animals can experience the same thing. But that only means that the patient needs support now more than ever, right? And that's exactly how the sanctuary treated Yuki's saddening situation. They were set on doing what was best for the beautiful wounded creature, and made sure that he made a full recovery after each of his 5 surgeries. But that's not the only thing that the sanctuary decided for Yuki's future. The wonders of Wolfdog breeds. Even though wolves are actually quite shy creatures and don't typically interact with humans out in the wild in general, but the fact that the wondrous wolf dogs have a mixture of both wolf and dog traits, it can cause for a pretty tricky combo, which means they are more likely to interact with humans due to their dog-like habits, which also means that because they can exhibit some pretty aggressive behavior in comparison to domesticated dogs, they shouldn't be kept as pets. And Yuki was a good example of that, being upfront about your feelings. Yuki isn't necessarily more social versus pure wolves. We have pure wolves who will run away when they see new people because they are generally shy, curious animals. Yuki, however, will run straight to a new person, and if he doesn't like them, will become aggressive towards them, Brittany Allen explained to Bored Panda. But the fact that Yuki was upfront about how he felt towards those he didn't trust made it that much more special and heartwarming when he did open up and trust someone. 15% larger than other wolf dogs. Once the sanctuary staff learned that Yuki was 87.5% wolf bred, they started to refer to him as more of an actual wolf rather than a wolf dog. When it came to how to treat and care for him, Yuki might seem a bit bigger than you would expect in pictures, but he is still quite a large canine. 120 pounds to be exact, Director Jeremy Albrecht shared with Beastly. Everybody is talking about how big he is. He is a large animal, and he is going to be probably 10% heavier, 15% heavier than our other wolves that are his size. The dire wolf. Due to his big physique and intense set of teeth, Yuki has been referred to as looking like a dire wolf from Games of Thrones. But the great thing about Yuki and the other wolf dogs at the sanctuary is the fact that they are actually quite lovable and mystical in their very own ways. And for Yuki, his special way of showing love and respect was by letting those who earned it close to him. I was nervous the first time going in with Yuki. Yuki can be dangerous. I believe it's only 5 or less volunteers that we have that can actually interact with Yuki. I was able to start working with him and understanding him, and he obviously allowed me to share a space with him, Brittany Allen shared with Beastly. Quite the ladies' man. Just like people, Animals all have different personalities. Yuki is known to be goofy and likes to play around, but he has also gained a reputation for being temperamental and picky with who he allows to come behind the fence with him. But it turns out that deep down, he's quite a ladies' man. When I first got here, Yuki allowed men in his enclosure and women, and then one by one I watched him literally kick the men out of the enclosure. Judy, another volunteer at the sanctuary who's gotten close with Yuki, mentioned during her interview with Beastly, Yuki's harem. Yuki is one of those animals that he lets you know if he wants you in his enclosure or not. He has a very small group of women that he allows in his enclosure called his harem, so I feel very blessed that I'm still allowed in his harem. Judy further clarified with Beastly, it's not clear why, but it seems that to today, the extraordinary Yuki the Wolfdog only trusts and is more open with females. However, he doesn't limit his interactions to just with humans. Yuki befriended someone very special upon his time with the sanctuary, Bella the Wolfdog. Wolfdogs are both social with people they accept in their space, but they are very selective as well. This also applies to other wolf/wolfdog companions. They are very selective, but when they bond it is pretty unique, Brittany Allen shared with Bored Panda. While Yuki seemed to get along only with the female volunteers, he actually befriended another wondrous fellow wolfdog named Bella. Funny enough, Bella is actually far more dominant than Yuki, even if she is smaller in size. But the two seem to make quite a pair and are happy to be part of a pack together. How cute, welcoming him with open arms and paws. Since his accident with the pomelo, Yuki was very particular about who he allowed to get close to him. Overall, though, that's quite normal behavior for any wild animal, especially a rescue animal. But with that said, the sanctuary was more than happy to welcome Yuki with open arms, and paws to his forever home at the sanctuary. The more that the staff got to know Yuki, the more they absolutely adored him. But they weren't the only ones who became super fans of this wondrous wolfdog. The sanctuary's two main focuses. Wolfdogs definitely are creatures that demand respect. It would be a much different encounter in the wild than what I do with these guys. The animals I work with have never been in the wild and never will be, so they are more socialized, Brittany Allen declared in an interview with Bored Panda. The Shy Wolf Sanctuary is focused on two different things. The first is, of course, rescuing exotic animals and making sure that they're taken care of emotionally and physically, especially since they've never been in the wild. The second is educating the public about their precious rescue animals and breeds, educating others with adorable pics. We show off their adorable moments in the hope of helping people identify with them at least and maybe change their fear response into a healthy respect through education, and also giving an animal a chance at a decent life when otherwise they would be euthanized. Brittany Allen further clarified with Bored Panda. So in 2012, 4 years after Yuki's rescue, the sanctuary shared Yuki's story and some precious pictures of him. But the social media realm's reactions were completely unexpected. So much more than a pet. Remember how we mentioned that Yuki was meant to be so much more than just a pet? Well, it turns out Yuki isn't just special because he is almost 90% gray wolf. The 2012 post of Yuki and his pictures went completely viral, and people were absolutely thrilled to learn more about wolf dogs, especially Yuki. Because of Yuki, the sanctuary started to gain attention, and was able to spread awareness about their other rescue animals and stories. How heartwarming. Who would have known that he would make such an inspiring impact in the world and his community? The sanctuary's mission. For over a decade, Yuki has been able to call the Shy Wolf Sanctuary home. But the sanctuary has actually been open for much longer than that. The founder, Nancy Smith, had been rescuing for decades, but it was in 1994 that she rescued her very first wolves. Since then, the foundation has been taking care of anywhere from 2,100 wolf dogs at a time, with their mission being to heal hearts and minds through rescue, sanctuary, and education. Due to the advancement of social media, just like the viral and inspiring posts of Yuki, the sanctuary has been able to keep to their mission. Some sad news. By the time Yuki was about 11 years old, he had enjoyed a full decade filled with so much heartwarming TLC from the sanctuary. And while age 11 may seem so young to us, that's actually quite an elder age for canines. Unfortunately, in 2018, Yuki got a heartbreaking diagnosis. He was diagnosed with cancer last year, and unfortunately it is terminal. Yuki has been fighting it for quite a while now and is persevering, so it is business as usual while we enjoy our time with Yuki. Director Jeremy Albrecht revealed to Bored Panda. As sad as this news is, though, this isn't the sanctuary's first rodeo dealing with this type of diagnosis. Their stories always have happy endings once they get to Shy Wolf Sanctuary. Saying goodbye to one of our animals is always difficult for our staff and volunteers, and Yuki will be no different. It's important to remember that while many of these animals have rough beginnings, their stories always have happy endings once they get to Shy Wolf Sanctuary. When their time with us is over, the last thing they do is make room for our next rescue and happy ending. Director Jeremy Albrecht inspiringly shared with Bored Panda. The sanctuary isn't giving up on Yuki, and since they have experience with this type of diagnosis, and they have vowed to make sure that they will make the proper decisions for Yuki's quality of life, sponsoring the strong warrior during his silent battle. The 120-pound 12-year-old wondrous Wolfdog might be silently battling a disease, but he's not giving up so easily either. In fact, the sanctuary posted on Facebook a little message from Yuki himself stating that he's not up for adoption due to his health condition, but can still be sponsored. How sweet. Brittany also shared with Beastly that, so far, Yuki has just been in such high spirits. He's not showing any signs of pain. He's an awesome animal. He's amazing. I'm so glad that Shy Wolf was able to step in and give him a home where he can just have so much affection and so much love given to him. And it's because of this amazingly high-spirited canine that the sanctuary's future holds strong. The sanctuary's future. There's no doubt that Yuki has made an impact in the sanctuary staff's lives as well as the sanctuary itself. As far as our future goes, we are trying to get to a larger property and build this a state-of-the-art facility. If I have 20 times the space I have now, then I have 20 times the Yukis that I can rescue. And that's what we're here to do, Director Jeremy Albrecht excitingly shared with Beastly. Right now, the sanctuary has found a lot of land near their current facility in Florida that they plan to utilize. They're currently raised over $20,000 funds on their GoFundMe page and are eager to expand and rescue even more Yukis.